Hi everyone, nice to meet you all again. We're going to take a quick look now at the third component of the FutureNet model. You might have seen previous messages on our product packs and our digital products on our social media platform. You may have already have some experience with our advertising product, but in this presentation we're going to focus on the third component, and this is an introduction to cryptocurrency and an introduction to our fabulous live open cryptocurrency. You'll find it on CoinMarketCap, and that currency is called the Futuro. So for most people, they may have recollections of the word Bitcoin. They may have heard something. They're not too sure. It's the next big thing. And the blockchain and cryptocurrency certainly will have an impact in all of our lives. I believe that every business on the planet is in danger of a blockchain version of itself. They're in danger of competition from a blockchain version of itself. And if we look at businesses like the accommodation and travel business, you'll find that Airbnb probably provides more accommodation than any single hotel group in the world, but Airbnb don't own any hotels. You'll also be familiar with Uber. They don't own any taxis, but yet they're the biggest transportation company on the planet today. And that's because they looked at an industry, they added some applications and technology to change it, and we're in a changing world. Everything is going digital. If you think about it, maybe a few years ago, your TV company told you, in 3 months, we're turning off analog, you must go digital. The internet has gone digital. Music used to be vinyl, then it was CD-ROM, now it's digital music. You can actually download digital music without buying the physical disc. So you can appreciate in this digital age that the next big thing is digital money. I'm here to talk about a fabulous currency called the Futuro coin. I'll give you a brief introduction to that now, but first let me now go to the blackboard or the whiteboard and share with you exactly how this all came about. Now, this technology called blockchain technology, this started about 10 years ago. Back in 2008, a person by the name, or a group of people by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto, sounds Japanese, but Satoshi Nakamoto created, after the crisis in 2007, they created a technology called the blockchain. Now, it's very, very simple technology, but it has a big impact on everything we do. From here on, you will start to hear this word every day, probably of your life. You will be using this technology maybe to vote. Instead of showing up, we can do our votes digitally, because a blockchain is a digital ledger that actually locks in every contract, and this contract cannot be broken, changed, or edited. And that means for many, many applications, it has a big impact. For instance, when we go to buy a property or take a lease on a property, very often the solicitor or your lawyer would need to check the deeds of that property before you would do the contract. And they go back into what's called a file. They would check the deeds of that property. They would find out this property was owned by X person in 1931. It was transferred to their son in 1937. The property was then sold in 1949 to this person. It was then subdivided into 2 lots and became this owner. And of course, the solicitor will charge you a lot of money to do this search, to do this report for you, so you are buying what's called clean title. Well, what's going to happen now using this technology is they're going to take these transactions and they're going to digitalize them and put them into what's called a blockchain. And what that means is this data cannot be ever changed or altered or edited. No solicitor can go in and take a paper out of the file, alter a red line and reinsert it, because there's an element of trust, and that's why we use solicitors to do these contracts. But with the blockchain, we call it the blockchain of trust because it cannot be edited. So now the solicitor will not have to do all of those searches from the beginning of time, because all they need to see is the last transaction when the previous owner owned the property, that you can come in and you are the next owner. Once that contract is complete, you add that to the blockchain and nobody can change it. And now that will bring down the cost of contracts. You'll be using the blockchain to vote. By the same token, You can't have two votes because here there's only one you. You will be digitally represented, that when you place your vote on the blockchain, nobody else is going to cast that same vote. We will be using this for booking doctor's appointments. Everything, I believe, will be moving towards this kind of technology. Now, already, we're almost getting superseded with another technology called AI, artificial intelligence, but essentially, the blockchain is probably the biggest piece of technology that's happened in our lifetimes. You will be familiar, well, most of you will be familiar with years ago when you wanted to send a letter. You had to write out the letter, and you had to maybe read it and go, I'm not sure if I want to send that, and you rewrite it again, and then you spell something wrong, or, you know, so you would maybe spend a day preparing a letter, and then you would fold that letter, put it in an envelope, you go to the post office, you put a stamp on it, and let's say we were sending that internationally, it may take 4 or 5 days, or up to 11 days in the old days for that message to get to the other side of the world. Well, what actually transformed that industry was email. Because now you can write it, it can auto-correct itself, it's perfectly in a straight line, all in the same font, and you press a button and it arrives like that. So can you see the effect that email had on, for instance, the postal service? It made a big impact. This technology that we're talking about now has that same big impact on almost everything that we're going to do going forward. Now, one of the first usages of the blockchain when it was created by this group or this person called Satoshi Nakamoto, would you believe it? They haven't even made themselves known at this point. This was born just shortly after the 2007 credit crisis, and it's a fantastic technology when you kind of understand it. The first, I suppose, usage of the blockchain was for a product called Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin, many have heard of it, but let me tell you a brief story about it. When they designed this technology, there were 21 million Bitcoins in this technology. And in order to receive a Bitcoin, what you had to do way back in 2008 was you had to answer a question. Now, this was generally a mathematical question. So I'll give you an example. If I asked you, give me two whole numbers, when you add them together equals the number 5, what would those two whole numbers be? And you might go, well, 4 and 1. Well, that's correct. Yes, so 4 plus 1 equals 5. And as an example, because you got that question correct, this blockchain, this technology would submit or give to you a Bitcoin. That was the prize. That was the result of getting this question right. But of course, there were 2 more answers. So let's say somebody else said 6 and 9. Well, that's silly. That's not right. So you would not get a Bitcoin. Let's say somebody else said 2 and 3 equals 5. Correct. You get yourself a Bitcoin. And maybe the last one is 5 and 0. 5 plus 0 equals 5. So there are only 3 answers to that question, to that algorithm. What 2 whole numbers when added together equal 5? These are the 3 correct questions. So if lots of people were trying to get the answer to this, the first 3 that got it correct were issued a Bitcoin. So that's a very, very simple explanation of how we actually get Bitcoin. The terminology used for getting these coins today is called mining. And now individuals can't do it because these questions are very complex. They use very, very difficult algorithms to work out the answers to these solutions. But if you get it correct, you do get rewarded with a Bitcoin. Today, I can tell you that 12.5 Bitcoins are released into the world every 10 minutes. So every 10 minutes in life, there are 12.5 Bitcoins released from this technology into circulation until all 21 million are in circulation, and then it's over. Now, when I say it's over, what I mean is there's no more going to be created. Now, that's why the Bitcoin is valuable. Because there's only 21 million, that's called a limited supply. Let me tell you this, that if you go and check what the central banks are doing, if you find out what lots of the governments and the central banks are involved in, they're involved in producing currency, which is pound sterling, dollars, euro. For instance, in Europe, the European Central Bank is printing $80 billion, 80 billion euro per month. 80 billion euros is being created per month. In the United States, 60 billion, the Federal Reserve, is printing 60 billion US dollars per month. Now, let me tell you what that sounds like. They're just printing money. and it has no value. In fact, that's why your money is depreciating, or it's actually losing value. The further into time you go, the less your money buys you. My father told me a story that he said, you know, you were born in this house, son, and that house was £3,000. And I said, Dad, how could you buy a house for £3,000? I mean, that's not possible. It must have been a really bad house. He says, no, son, in the 1960s, that was the price of houses. It was 3,000. He says in the 1970s, they were like 17 and 18,000. In the 80s, the average price of a house was £28,000. In the 90s, that moved up into the 50s and 60,000. Today, the average price of a house where I live is about £178,000. So what you can see is with that type of asset that the value can appreciate, the value can rise. Well, what's actually happening is the money is buying you less. Because imagine your father left you a house worth £3,000 back in the 1960s, or your grandfather left you a house in the 1960s. What is it worth today? It's worth a lot of money. But if he had left you 3,000 cash and left that in the bank for you, how much is £3,000 of cash worth in the same time frame? You see, the cash will not buy you the house anymore. 3,000 doesn't buy a house because the value of currency goes down because they're printing more. You see, there's a cancer. And we're not told about this. There's a cancer, a money cancer. And that money cancer is called inflation. Your hard work, your labor is being eroded by inflation. Because if you try to save for this pension plan, by the time you get to this age, what you've been putting away will not buy you what you thought it might at this point as you save. So these guys decided to create a currency with a fixed amount of supply. In other words, we can't manipulate this, we can't edit it, we can't alter it, we can't create more Bitcoin. There's a finite supply. That's why it's often referred to as digital gold. You see, money used to be things like rice, fish, vegetables, water. People used to barter and exchange these natural products. This was money until gold, silver, and platinum was found in the ground. Then that became the money. At one point, that gold, those metals, those precious metals, they were banked, and the banks issued us with a gold certificate. So if you lodged your gold in the bank manager would give you a receipt, and it said, I promise to pay the bearer on demand of this receipt the gold you've deposited in the branch. And the bank manager would sign it. And in the old days, you used to go back into the bank and say, can I have my money, please? You would present the certificate, the bank manager would have a look at it, check his signature, yep, that's fine, and he would go and duly get you your money. And of course, what happened was people then found a new way to do things. They started to pass the certificates around instead of going to get the gold out of the bank. So this became the first usage of paper money, where people started to pass the paper. But ladies and gentlemen, it's still only paper. It's not backed by gold, because in 1971, they broke the gold standard. There's no relationship between your currency and the gold that used to back your currency. And because of that point, nobody now has any money. Up until 1971, you did have money because money was backed by gold. In 1971, President Nixon broke the gold standard, and he did away with the relationship between paper and the gold. Now you're running around with paper notes. You think it's money, but it's not. You see, if you're from the United States and you come to my country and you try to buy an ice cream and you present a $20 bill, you will not get your ice cream. Do you know why? Because dollars is not money. We don't accept it here. Likewise, if you are from the United Kingdom and you go to Germany or somewhere in Europe and you try to spend pound sterling, the shops don't accept it. Why? It's not money. You see, what we have is a thing called currency. Money is gold, silver, and platinum, or this new digital age of gold, silver, and platinum, which is called the digital money because there's a finite supply. Now, the story continues because in the beginning, the value of this Bitcoin, for instance, had no value. And the reason it had no value because there was nobody using it. There was no transaction. But as history showed us, in 2010, one of these programmers was hungry. He sent a message to the network of programmers and he said, guys, can somebody out there please help me? I'm hungry, I need something to eat. If you send 2 pizzas to my house, yeah, and pay for it, what I will do is I will send you in return 10,000 of the Bitcoins I've managed to generate here on my computer. One of the other programmers looked at this message and went, okay, I have lots of Bitcoins, I don't need any more, but the guy's hungry. He sent the order to the guy's house, and what you can do with digital money is you can transfer it like email. You don't need the banks, you don't need clearing houses. If you've got a Bitcoin wallet with Bitcoin in it, and this is another Bitcoin, this can receive it, probably takes about 10 minutes minimum to verify the transaction, and you're paid in 10 minutes. So the guy duly sent the 10,000 Bitcoins over to the guy that ordered the pizza, and this was the first known transaction in cryptocurrency. And from that moment on, it was like exchanging vegetables for water, milk for rice, wheat for barley. So this was the first transaction, and that became a very momentous piece of history, because a Bitcoin back in those days in 2010, just a few years ago, was worth 10 cents each. And since that transaction, there has been this appetite and this desire and this interest in this amazing currency. And whilst the graph goes up and down, there is a trend to see that the currency has grown in value. Why? Well, when you have a limited supply and you start adding demand and interest to a product, what happens to the price? Of course, it goes up. Think about this. If you had the only computer in your city, what would that be worth if you had the only one? Everybody would want to get it from you. So the supply is limited to one, and everybody wants it. So there's demand. So what is the worth of the computer? Thousands, millions, tens of millions. If you had the only car in your street, what would that car be worth? Millions. So when there's a limited supply and we start to add demand and understanding and knowledge, then everybody wants to get their hands on this coin. Now, the company we're looking at, FutureNet, started to accept Bitcoin payments back in 2015. And a Bitcoin at that stage was plus or minus $250 per coin. Millions of dollars started to come to FutureNet in this digital money, and they started to accumulate and acquire this massive asset at $250. At another point, the Bitcoin was kind of stuck on this threshold of about $600. Now, this is when I heard of Bitcoin myself. And I said to myself, intelligent as much as I feel I am, I said, I'm not buying it. I'm going to wait till it goes to 250, then I'm getting in. Well, of course, guys, that never happened. And the next threshold for Bitcoin was when it sat at plus or minus $1,000. It sat there for quite a while, the value of a Bitcoin. Again, at this point, I said, okay, when it goes back to 600, I'm getting in. And you'll probably find that most people we know have some basic knowledge of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, but how much actually have you acquired? When did you get in? And now this leads us to the FutureNet story, because what actually happened was FutureNet was bringing in millions of dollars at this level, millions of dollars at this level, millions of dollars at this level. And I can tell you, a Bitcoin today is sitting at around plus or minus $6,500. Now, let's go back to the pizza story for 1 minute. Imagine the gentleman did not exchange the 10,000 Bitcoins for 2 pizza. He would have 10,000 times 6,500 each. Those pizzas today represent a $65 million transaction. Those 2 pizzas are the most expensive pizzas in history, because had he not bought them, had he not given away those 10,000 coins, he would have $65 million today. Can you see the power of a digital asset like cryptocurrency when you understand this story? So, FutureNet bringing in thousands of dollars, creating this wealth and asset as this currency grows. Now you can see one element why we can afford our advertising products, we can afford our matrix, we can afford many elements of FutureNet, is because the wealth backed up in FutureNet in digital asset is phenomenal. We've no problem giving you a 20% profit when we can get tens of thousands of percent profit. These $250 Bitcoins are worth $6,500. Can you see the wealth of FutureNet? So what we did was, back in 2017, we started to create our own blockchain. We developed our own cryptocurrency, and we released a new cryptocurrency to the market called the Futuro. This Futuro has 100 million coins in supply. Now, it's 5 times the amount of Bitcoin, but what we decided to do is we emit 13.3 coins every single minute, okay? Now, the ticker tape number for Futuro is FTO. The ticker tape icon for Bitcoin is BTC. So today, currently, at the time of recording, a Bitcoin emits 12.5 Bitcoins every 10 minutes. In the Futuro cryptocurrency, we emit 13.3. So it's a similar number, but we emit these every single minute. So we have what's called a 1-minute block. To transact with Bitcoin, it takes about 10 minutes minimum to verify a transaction. So if I send you a Bitcoin right now, it's going to land there probably in about 10 minutes minimum. It could take, could take longer, it could take 2 or 3 hours, but essentially the minimum block size, the minimum transaction time is going to be about 10 minutes to transfer money. That's pretty quick. It's much faster than the banking system. But with the Futuro, we have instant transaction delivery. In other words, there's no 10 minutes, it's an instant delivery. Now, I can tell you that the merchants, once we launch this to the shopkeepers and to the merchants will be very, very happy to take a currency that they can get paid immediately with, rather than waiting 10 minutes to get paid. Can you imagine buying a cup of coffee and the girl asks you, would you like sugar, or would you like, what way would you like your coffee? Well, your coffee's cold by the time you get it, because the shopkeeper has not got paid, because it's going to take 10 minutes to pay them. Your coffee's cold. But with using the Futuro model, because the shopkeeper gets paid immediately, by the time they ask you, would you like sugar, they're already paid. Shops today are using things like Visa, MasterCard. Many of them are subject to high fees, maybe up to 5% of the product order. This is a big burden on many businesses. But more than that, sometimes they have to wait up to a month to even get those payments. Can you imagine having a monetary system where you get paid instantly, no delay? And the next good news is we have very little transaction fees. Not anything like 5%. In fact, for every transaction, we charge 0.0006. So I'll just show you. 0.0006 of the Futuro is what's known as a fixed transaction fee. So if I buy 1 cup of coffee, the transaction charge is 0.0006 of a Futuro as a transaction charge. But if I were to buy 10 cups of coffee, the fee is the same. Or if I was to buy a brand new Mercedes-Benz at 80,000, the fee is still the same, 0.0006. So the fee doesn't rise as the price of the product. And these are some of the advantages of this fantastic currency that I'm about to tell you about. Now, we launched this currency in February 2018. So it's relatively new. We're only emitting 13.3 coins per minute. So there's a very limited supply. But the good news here, ladies and gentlemen, is we have a community presently in around 3 million users, 3 million members. And what we do is we educate them. For instance, this is almost like financial education I'm giving here. With Bitcoin, there is no company. With Bitcoin, there is no central servers. With Bitcoin, there's no marketing. With Bitcoin, there's no education. With Bitcoin, there's no help desk. But with FutureNet, we have a community where we educate them, where we guide them, where we train them. We have a marketing arm. We have a customer support. And all of that is putting demand on the price of our coin. I can tell you, this point of recording here in September 2018, our coin is already sitting at plus or minus $8 per coin. Now let's go back to this fantastic Bitcoin story. It took a year and a half before a Bitcoin was valued at just 10 cents. And our currency is only released about 6 months, and it's already sitting plus or minus $8 at time of recording. You will find our coin in CoinMarketCap. You will find us on many, many exchanges. You can use this coin. You can cash out an ATM. You can member-to-member transfer instantly. There are phenomenal usages and further usages in development of our coin. The utility and use of our coin will really, really affect the value of our coin. It's incredible. Now, thinking about this, if you wanted to get into Bitcoin today, and let's say a Bitcoin is $6,500, right? For you to double your money with Bitcoin, a Bitcoin needs to go to $13,000. You understand? So if you bought a Bitcoin today for $6,500, for you to double your value, a Bitcoin needs to hit $13,000. But when you're working with Futuro, a Futuro only needs to go to $16 for you to double. $32 doubles again. $64 it doubles again. $128 it doubles again. What is the likelihood of this coin moving towards the area of $100 from where it is today? Based on having very few coins in supply, a massive demand on the coin, I think we're going to have some exciting times. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. You must, if you need to, consult your own financial advisor, take what advice you can. I'm an educator. I'm teaching you about the currency. It's entirely up to you. There are risks involved because, of course, the price of coins can fluctuate and do go up and down. But let me tell you this, if you're smart, if you're intelligent, let's say you buy a coin at $8. Everybody knows if you sell it at $7, you're going to lose money. So as long as you can hold that coin till it has a higher value, let's say $10, then you make profit. So use your brains, seek advice, make the right decision, and get involved in our cryptocurrency. Now that brings us to the next question. Where do you get this Futuro? Where does it come from? Well, there are a number of places you can get it. First and foremost, you can do it yourself on your computer. You don't need to talk to me. You don't need to speak to FutureNet. That's the first way. Because we have an open, transparent blockchain, it's open for the whole world to play with, okay? In fact, FutureNet don't even own the coin anymore. We prepared it. Once we released it, it's on the open blockchain. We can't change it. We can't edit it. We can't manipulate it. Why? Because the blockchain is a blockchain of trust where it cannot be changed or edited. We cannot add more coins or subtract coins. Why? Because it's already pre-programmed. So up until 2018 of February, we could do something as we prepared it. But since we launched it, it's now your coin. It's my coin. It's the coin, global currency of the world. You can take this Futuro, you can change it to Bitcoin, you can cash out to sterling, euro, or dollars. You can bring it back to fiat currency. You can transact between members, instant payments. It's a beautiful product to get your hands on and start educating yourself on the future of money. And the future of money, I believe, is digital. Like everything's gone digital, surely currency and money is going digital. You can go and buy yourself what's called a mining machine. Now, years ago, you could use software to do it yourself, but today you probably need to buy a mining machine. The machine that mines our coin would mine other coins also, but the machine you might want to buy is called an Antminer X11. This product might cost you about $3,000 if you wanted to buy the machine. If you're smart enough and understand how to program it, I'm going to tell you that you're going to get an electricity bill alongside that because it's quite it consumes a lot of electricity as you're working to reveal these coins. You also will probably experience depreciation. So maybe in 1 or 2 years from now, the machine would be less effective. So that's your choice. There's some people who understand this in a big way. They're involved in a big way. In fact, they open warehouses full of machines to do these minings. In China now, they have massive warehouses full of computers mining Bitcoin and other altcoins or alternative coins like the Futuro. For those of you, probably like myself, who don't have that knowledge and experience, they want the easy route to get these coins. There are two more options. You can buy directly off an exchange. So it's like going to the post office or the bank. If you wanted to go and change pound sterling to euro or euro to dollar, you just go into the bank or you just go to an exchange at the airport or the post office. So there are cryptocurrency exchanges where you exchange your Bitcoin or your Ethereum or your cash. You convert that into cryptocurrency. It's just an exchange. You have that option. And the option I want to talk about is we also can supply what's called a mining package for you. And this is an incredible, simple way to get Futuro for the masses. Because if you don't understand the technology, if you don't want a fancy computer and you don't want anything that's not easy to do, we have a very simple mechanism to put Futuro into your account. And what you would do is you would buy what's called a mining package. Now, it's totally optional, but FutureNet they have 7 different mining packages available. It's up to you what best suits your pocket. So let me just go to the PowerPoint slide and show you the various packages. Let me share screen here. Share screen. Should be able now to see the 7 different mining packages we have. So this is one option, and this is what we encourage the masses to do because it's very, very simple. Let's suggest you wanted to spend $100 and get some cryptocurrency. Well, you just go onto our website, you buy a $100 package, and 1 minute later, you get your first deposit. So you buy this package for $100, and 1 minute later, we add Futuro to your digital wallet. So you get a digital wallet, and the coin lands there in 1 minute after you buy it. The next minute, you get another deposit. The next minute, you get another deposit because our mine mines every single minute. We put coin in your wallet every single minute from the moment you buy this package, every minute, which is 60 payments per hour, or 1,440 payments you get in a day. Tell me this, when was the last time you had an account that grew every single minute? This account grows every minute because your deposit is coming from the blockchain directly to your digital wallet, and you start accumulating this coin. In fact, this product lasts for 2 years. It's a contract for 2 years. $100 gets you a reward for 2 years, every single minute of payment. At any point on that journey, whether you wait to the end of it or right now when you get your first deposit, you can sell it or use that coin. There's no obligation to hold or release any amount of it. It's your money. You do what you want. Of course, if it's sitting at $8 at this time of recording, and maybe your exit strategy is $16, well, that's maybe the time you want to sell it. If you want to hold it for a bigger equation, again, that's down to you. You have your own entry and exit strategy. Now, if you bought a $250 product, well, guess what happens? You get more coin. Yeah, so every minute you're getting more coin. Why? Because you're buying more power. It's like having one computer working on the project, or having two computers working on the project. So for $250, you get more. You get $500, $1,000. You can see there yourself right up to $25,000 packages. I can tell you that we've had more than one customer have bought 20 of the $25,000 packages. Why? Because they're buying more power, they're getting more coin per minute, they're building their digital asset. Like building property, this is a digital asset and it's liquid. Why? Because if you need to sell this, you can go right now and sell it today. This minute you can sell it because there's an appetite to acquire the coin, so it's a liquid asset, which is incredible. So that's really an overview of digital money, cryptocurrency, and blockchain. You don't have to introduce anybody. Which is good, because some people want to passive just to earn currency. So if they believe in this model, this is something they might like to do as part of their portfolio. If you would like to share this idea with others, well, then we have more ways of making money. In fact, we have 7 more ways to earn money. For instance, if you brought us a customer, we can give you payments up to 7% of their mining package. We have career bonuses, uni-level bonuses, matching bonuses. In fact, we have car bonuses, business bonus. We can get up to $10,000 a month from this company simply for building the network, for building that customer base. And you can learn more about that on one of our presentations, where we actually go into each of these 7 income streams, if that's something you'd like to do. Help us build out the network of customers and help build the value by increasing the knowledge, by increasing the appetite for our product, by increasing the database and customer base. We reward you with commissions. And that's what this section's about. And you can learn about that on another presentation. So that's it for me. Hope you enjoyed that introduction to Futuro, digital money, and the blockchain. I hope you make best use of that information. I look forward to working with you and seeing you again in the near future. Thank you, everyone, and talk to you again soon.